As Christians seeking to live faithful lives before God, we need focus. But as we all know, distraction is everywhere. No matter what you're supposed to be doing, there's always something more interesting you could be doing. And often that comes in the form of entertainment, whether that's flipping on the TV or scrolling your phone, or it could just be doing something less important. Sometimes people call this productive procrastination, where you're baking the bread instead of doing the laundry because I don't feel like folding the laundry, or you're working on answering emails instead of doing the project because you don't feel like doing the project. But whatever the case is, distraction is everywhere, and procrastination is a perennial problem for everybody. And so what I want to talk about today is how do Christians approach the problem of procrastination, but specifically this issue that I call the procrastination spiral. And so tell me if this sounds familiar to you. So a lot of times what happens in our lives is we start feeling really busy. We're in a season where we're just overloaded, we're overworked, there's too much going on. And that busyness then and that overwhelm leads us to seeking distractions. We say, I just want to break from this. And so you start scrolling your phone, or you do something else. You procrastinate. But then you procrastinate for a little while and you start realizing, shoot, I'm wasting time. And you start feeling guilty about it. And then you start realizing, shoot, I've wasted the time that I was supposed to be dedicating to doing the thing I was supposed to be doing. So now I feel even more busy. And so you just go around and around the spiral again. The busyness leads to seeking distractions leads to wasting time, leads to you realizing, I wasted time. Now I'm more busy. Round and round we go. What I want to look at is, one, how should we think about procrastination as Christians? Is this a sin issue? What even is procrastination from a biblical worldview? And then second, how do we get out of this spiral? How do we get off the procrastination spiral so that we can get done what we're supposed to be getting done and just avoid getting into this trap to begin with? Part one, let's talk about, is procrastination a sin? First, let me define procrastination. So here's my own definition. I kind of mixed a few together. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing a priority for the sake of something that's less important. You're putting something off that you should be doing. That's a short way of putting it. This is different, I think, than choosing a different priority. That's why I defined it this way, right? It's one thing to say, hey, I'm supposed to be working on this thing because I'm supposed to be getting this done right now, right? You're a student. This paper needs to get done. It's what I should be doing. But instead you go hang out with friends. That's procrastination. But it's different when you willingly choose to change the priority, right? This distinction will make more sense in a little bit, but I mean, like, say you are the student and the paper's due, but then you realize, oh, wait, I have actually a quiz tomorrow in this class and the paper's not due till next week. This is actually priority. I need to focus on studying for the quiz. That's not you procrastinating on the paper. That's you deciding, oh no, this is a new priority. Again, procrastination is specifically when you delay or postpone something that should be the priority for the sake of something that is a lower priority or less important. Is that a sin? When you do that, are you sinning? And so I actually raised this question in our Redeeming Productivity Academy. We have a community in there. And I asked this question several months ago. Do you guys think procrastination is a sin? And it was very interesting to see all the different responses. Some people said, yeah, I think it is. I think it is a sin. And other people said, no, I'm not sure if it always is. And so here's kind of just the gist of my takeaway from that discussion and from studying this from the scriptures myself. I think procrastination can be a sin. It can be a sin. And there's several different ways. One could be if you're procrastinating from obeying God. Right, we read this in Deuteronomy 23. If you're watching, I have the verse up on the screen. I won't read the whole thing. It's long. But the gist of it is, he says, if you make a vow to the Lord, you shall not delay in fulfilling it. And so this idea that delayed obedience is disobedience. In that instance, if the thing you're procrastinating on doing is obeying God, yeah, that is a type of sin. Another thing would be, Ecclesiastes says the same thing. When you vow to God, don't delay in paying it. Or, David in Psalm 119, verse 60, he says, I hasten and do not delay to keep your commandments. So I do think that there is procrastination that could be a sin when you fail to do what is right. And this is what James talks about this too. Anyone who knows the right thing to do but doesn't do it, to him that is sin. So there's a type of violating of your conscience, violating of your obedience to God, wherein you put off doing what should be done, a righteous act. That would be a form of procrastination that is sin. But I think that in our lives, a lot of times the type of procrastination we're talking about is less high stakes. We're thinking in terms of, I ought to be working on this thing right now, right? Like the student with the paper, or at work with a project, or in the home, this is the day you're supposed to be cleaning, the bathrooms or something. But you're saying, but I'm not going to do that. Is that a sin? Well, to me, I think that this is more likely to fall into the category of wisdom. We could say procrastination is sometimes sin, but procrastination is always unwise. I think I could say that with some degree of certainty. Procrastination is always unwise. And we look to the Proverbs, to the wisdom literature, for some examples of this. Proverbs 13:4 says, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. So this idea that, hey, the sluggard, the lazy person, the procrastinator who's saying, I'm not going out there, there's a lion in the street, or I'm not going to do that because I'd rather sit in my bed and sleep in a little bit more. That procrastinator, that sluggard, craves, they want things, but they get nothing, contrasted with the diligent, who is richly supplied. And so it's unwise because you actually poison yourself when you procrastinate. So procrastination would be a sin when you are putting off what you owe to God. It would be a sin when you put off what you owe to others, right? The first and second greatest commandments. I'm so to love the Lord with all my heart, soul, strength, and mind, love my neighbor for myself. When procrastination causes me not to do those two things, then I'm falling into sin. But when procrastination is just working against myself, then I'm just being foolish. I'm actually hurting myself. I'm craving and getting nothing because I'm not doing what I should be doing. Likewise, Proverbs 18:9 says, whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. What does it mean by that? Well, okay, a person who is knocking down a house, for example, he's the one who's the destroyer. But what about the guy who should be building the house but is just not doing it? What he's saying is there's not much of a difference there. Someone's destroying, but the other person is actually failing to build. So they're basically a brother to the person who's the destroyer, because both of them, the net result is the thing's not getting done. It's not getting built. And so again, the point there Solomon's making is when you procrastinate, when you put off doing the thing you're supposed to be doing, it's like you're tearing down instead of building up. It's like instead of being fruitful, you are like rot on the vine. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Again, I think this could apply not just to hard work, but to procrastination as well. Part of working with all of your might is that you don't delay to do the thing that you set out to do. I don't say, all right, I'm going to start working on that big thing that I was supposed to be doing. I'm going to throw my whole self into it tomorrow, right? Diet starts tomorrow. That kind of attitude. That's not whatever your hand finds to do, doing it with all your might. When you have that sort of half-hearted attitude towards it that results in you just putting off, it's unwise. It's unwise. And like I said, that hurts you. But let's go back to the beginning. So procrastination, can it be a sin? Yes. But it's always unwise. It's always unwise. And so we want to get out of this cycle. So I want to give you some practical stuff like we do on here. 3 strategies to break out of the procrastination cycle. How do you get out of the spiral that happens frequently when you are so busy that you seek out distractions and then you lose time, you waste time, you feel bad about that, and then you feel more busy and round you go.